Dracula in Easy English, Chapter 1, Part 2. The 4th of May. I found that my landlord, and a landlord is a man who rents a room, building, or a piece of land to someone, and the female version of the word is landlady. Remember this word, we will see it in the text a little bit later. So, I found that my landlord had got a letter from the Count directing him to book the best place on the coach for me. And a coach is a large carriage pulled by horses and used in the past for carrying passengers. But when I started asking more questions, he didn't want to answer and pretended that he could not understand my German. So to pretend is to behave as if something is true when in fact you know it is not, in order to deceive people or for fun. This could not be true, because up to then he had understood it perfectly. At least he answered my questions exactly as if he did. He and his wife, the old lady who had received me, and to receive is to officially accept someone as a guest, looked at each other in a frightened sort of way. He said that the money had been sent in a letter, and that was all he knew. When I asked him if he knew Count Dracula and could tell me anything of his castle, both he and his wife made the sign of the cross. The sign of the cross is the hand movement that some Christians make in the shape of a cross to show respect for God or to protect themselves from evil. So they made the sign of the cross, and saying that they knew nothing at all, simply refused to speak further. It was so near the time of starting that I had no time to ask anyone else, because it was all very mysterious and not at all comforting. Mysterious events or situations are difficult to explain or understand, and comforting means making you feel less worried, unhappy, or upset. But the situation was not comforting for Jonathan Harker. Just before I was leaving, the old lady came up to my room and said in a very hysterical way. And hysterical means unable to control your behavior or emotions because you are very upset, afraid, or excited. So she said, "Must you go? Oh, Jan Herr, must you go?" She was so worried that she seemed to have forgotten what German she knew and mixed it all up with some other language which I did not know at all. I was just able to understand her by asking many questions. When I told her that I must go at once and that it was an important business trip, she asked again, "Do you know what day it is?" I answered that it was the 4th of May. She shook her head and she said again, "Oh yes, I know that. But do you know what day it is?" On my saying that I did not understand, she went on. She continued, "It is the eve of St. George's Day." Eve, the night or day before an important day. So it is the eve of St. George's Day. Do you not know that tonight, when the clock strikes midnight, all the evil things in the world will have full power? Do you know where you're going and what you're going to? It was so obvious, so clear, that she was greatly worried that I tried to comfort her, to help her come down, but without effect. Finally, she went down on her knees and asked me not to go, at least to wait a day or two before starting. It was all very funny, but I did not feel comfortable. However, there was business to be done, and I could allow nothing to stop me. To allow means to let, but they're grammatically different. This too is used with allow. And so I tried to raise her up and said as seriously as I could that I thanked her, but my duty was more important than anything, and that I must go. Duty is something that you must do, something that you have to do because it is morally or legally right. She then rose and dried her eyes, and taking a crucifix from her neck, offered it to me. A crucifix is a cross with a figure of Jesus Christ on it. I did not know what to do, because as a member of the Church of England, I have been taught to think of such things as idols. So it was personally unacceptable for him. And yet, it seemed so impolite, not polite, so impolite to say no to an old lady who had such good intentions and so very much worried for me. An intention is a plan or desire, a wish to do something. So she wished him well, and he saw it. She saw, I suppose, the doubt in my face, because she put the rosary around my neck. The rosary is a set of small, usually round pieces of glass, wood or plastic, with a crucifix attached, and it is used by Catholics for counting prayers. Here's a picture. So she put the rosary around my neck and said, "For your mother's sake, do it for your mother's sake," and went out of the room. I am writing up this part of the diary while I'm waiting for the coach, which is, of course, late. And the crucifix is still around my neck. Is it the old lady's fear, or the many ghost stories believed in this place, or the crucifix itself? I do not know. But I am not feeling nearly as calm as usual. If these notes should ever reach Mina before my return, let them bring my goodbye. Here comes the coach. The 5th of May, the castle. The grey morning is over, and the sun is high over the faraway horizon. The horizon is the line far away where the land or sea seems to meet the sky. So the horizon, which seems rough, not smooth, with a lot of pointed trees or hills, it is so far off that big things and little are mixed. I am not sleepy, and as I asked not to disturb me until I wake up, not to interrupt my rest, basically. Naturally, I write till sleep comes. There are many strange things to write down, and in order not to let anyone who reads them think that they are the result of the dinner I had before I left Bistritz, let me put down my dinner exactly. So he wants to record what he had for dinner. I dined on what they called robber steak. Bits of bacon, onion and beef, seasoned with red pepper and roasted over the fire on sticks in the simple style of the London cat's meat. And London cat's meat, it's not the meat of the cat. In London, they used to sell meat that was not fit for humans to eat. They sold it so that people could buy this meat to give to their cats. The wine was golden mediash. It tastes a little unusual at first, but it is quite pleasant. I had only a couple of glasses of it and nothing else. When I got on the coach, the driver had not taken his seat, and I saw him talking with the landlady. I understood that they were talking of me, because every now and then they looked at me, and some of the people who were sitting on the bench outside the door came and listened and then looked at me, most of them pityingly. So a pitying look or a smile or a glance is a look or a smile that shows you feel pity for someone, and the synonym is sympathetic. I could hear a lot of words, often repeated, foreign words, because there were many nationalities in the crowd. So I quietly got my polyglot. Polyglot means speaking or using many languages. So I quietly got my polyglot dictionary from my bag and looked them up. So I found those words. I must say they did not make me feel good, because among them were Ordog, Satan, Pokhol, which means hell, Strigoitsa, witch, Prolog and Volkoslak, both of which mean the same thing, one being Slovak and the other Serbian, for something that is either werewolf or vampire. Werewolf is a human being who can turn into a wolf. I must ask the Count all about these superstitions. When we started, the crowd round the inn, and inn is a little hotel. The crowd round the inn, which had by this time become rather large, all made the sign of the cross and pointed 2 fingers towards me. With some difficulty, I got a fellow passenger. It's another passenger that was traveling with him. A fellow passenger to tell me what they meant. He didn't want to answer at first, but when he found out that I was English, he explained that it was to guard me against the evil eye. And the evil eye is the power, which some people believe exists, to harm people by looking at them. This was not very pleasant for me, just beginning my journey to an unknown place to meet an unknown man. But everyone seemed so kind-hearted and so sorrowful and so sympathetic that I could not but be touched. So sympathetic means caring and feeling sorry about someone's problems. So everyone was sympathetic and he was touched, meaning he was moved. It touched his heart. I shall never forget the last glimpse, a quick look at someone or something that doesn't allow you to see them clearly. So I shall never forget the last glimpse which I had of the inn yard and its crowd of figures resembling a picture. An yard is an enclosed area next to a building or group of buildings. So it's crowd of figures resembling a picture, all crossing themselves as they stood round the wide archway with its background of oleander and orange trees in green tubs in the center of the yard. Then our driver, whose wide linen pants covered the whole front of his seat, Gotza they call them, cracked his big whip. And a whip is like a piece of rope that is used to make sure the horses hurry up. So he cracked his big whip over his 4 small horses, which all ran next to each other, and we set off on our journey.